Discover the incredible moment when a poor black man's heartwarming act for a homeless girl changes everything. As dawn broke over the city of Detroit, the world came to life quietly, almost as if it was holding its breath. Marcus, an unassuming 33-year-old mechanic, had been awake for hours. With every tick of the clock, he felt the weight of his mother's illness pulling at his spirit. He fixed cars at a garage that barely scraped by, yet every dollar mattered. But there was something more significant than money on his mind. He often walked the same path, sunrise shining through scattered clouds, the smell of coffee wafting from the nearest bakery filling his senses. This morning was destined to stand out. As he rounded the corner, there she was, a frail young girl, no older than 10, huddled in a worn-out blanket against the bakery wall. Her big, hopeful eyes sparkled beneath the shadows of her tangled hair. A quiet storm raged within Marcus. He could feel his heart crack open, spilling forth compassion he didn't know he had. Her whispered dreams of being an artist felt like wind chimes clanging in a storm, beautiful yet fragile, just out of reach. "Hey there," he said softly, kneeling down to her level. Lily looked up, and they shared a brief connection. As they exchanged stories, he felt the gravity of her life unfold before him. She spoke of navigating the dangers of the streets, of indifferent glances from passers-by, of loneliness that gnawed at her soul. As she spoke, something ignited within Marcus. His own frustration transformed into a sense of purpose. Without thinking, he offered her half of his sandwich, a mere gesture, but it felt monumental in that moment. Her eyes widened, brightening as she accepted it. They shared laughter and stories, revealing pieces of each other's lives, as if they were pulling thread from their own fabrics to stitch a new friendship. Joy rang out between them, replacing despair. For the first time in a long time, Marcus felt a swell of hope in his chest, but life had its own plans. Days later, a community leader announced a fundraiser for homelessness. It drew big crowds, donations flowed like water in a river. Yet, still, those like Marcus, the unsung heroes, were hushed beneath the noise. Feeling the injustice like thunderclouds in his chest, he could no longer sit idly by. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Marcus stood up, he found himself torn between advocating for Lily's dignity and protecting his own fragile status in this community. When he raised his voice, urging everyone to see that real change came from kindness, shock rippled through the crowd. Would they choose to listen? Would they recognize the true worth behind his modest actions? As tension enveloped him, his heart raced faster, eyes blinking against the weight of unknowing. There beside him, Lily looked up, brow furrowed, uncertainty swirling in her gaze. The neighborhood buzzed with mixed emotions, families divided. The air crackled with potential. Could compassion rise up to meet them, or would judgment prevail? At that moment, everything hinged on that choice. What would happen next? Marcus stood at the center of a whirlwind, his heart thudding hard against his chest. The faces before him, some filled with curiosity and others spun with skepticism, flickered like the lights of the city he called home. He could feel the weight of their scrutiny etching every detail into his memory. "What do you want from us?" A voice called from the back, piercing the thick air of uncertainty. A murmur spread through the crowd. Marcus's pulse quickened. It was one thing to have compassion, but to demand action was another matter entirely. "I want you to see her," Marcus exclaimed, his voice rising above the whispers. "This is Lily. She is not just a statistic, she is a child with dreams and a heart that deserves to be cared for. If we don't do something, we're just letting her slip through the cracks like so many others." The words hung in the air, lingering in the minds of the bystanders. Unsettled murmurs turned into thoughtful silence. He could sense Lily's small frame trembling beside him, and he glanced down at her. The hope in her eyes, though fragile, shimmered with a magic of its own. "I'm just a girl," she said, her voice barely reaching anyone. But it was enough to stir the crowd. It echoed with the weight of reality. It was heartbreaking and genuine. The skeptical voice emerged again, but this time, softer. "What do you expect us to do?" "Help!" Marcus shouted, almost pleading now. "For every quarter you have, every food drive, every moment you spend worrying about who might have it worse, why not come together and make a difference right here? Right now?" In that charged moment, something shifted in the faces surrounding him. Concern line by line softened into fragments of understanding as conversations began unfolding in murmurs and exchanges. People looked at each other, weighing the cost of their apathy against the need standing so close to them. A woman stepped forward, her brow furrowed with thought. "We have a block party every year. What if we turn it into a fundraiser? Invite local businesses to contribute?" Other voices chimed in, some suggesting food donation drives, while others discussed awareness events. It was a beginning, small but significant. Hope began to spark, igniting the crowd with energy. Marcus felt it too. A swell of possibility surged in his chest, pushing back the grays that had gathered there lately, but then doubt crept back in like an unwelcome shadow. Would words alone be enough? What if these ideas faded before they could take root? "Lily, would you be willing to tell your story?" he asked softly, kneeling beside her again. The question hung delicately between them. She hesitated, her small hands tightening around the edge of her blanket. "But what if they judge me? What if they don't care?" Marcus's heart broke at her vulnerability. "Then we need to show them why they should care," he said, squeezing her shoulder gently. "You're stronger than you think. They need to see the real you, Lily." As the morning sun climbed higher, shedding light on the gathering, Marcus felt the energy shift again. It wasn't just about hope anymore, it was about courage as well. The crowd was transforming, nodding in agreement, taking small steps toward action, but deep within, he felt a battle brewing. Would their resolution withstand the test of time? Did they even know how deep the roots of change needed to grow? As he surveyed the faces now engaged in conversation, a knot tightened in his stomach, a reminder of how fragile this could all be. Questions swirled relentlessly in his mind. With the stakes rising and Lily's future still uncertain, the moment of decision was now. Would they rise to the occasion or retreat back to silence? With each heartbeat, Marcus realized the real challenge lay ahead, building a bridge between compassion and action. The choice was theirs to make, and for some, it was hanging by a thread. What would it take to turn their words into unwavering reality? Marcus stood, feeling the tension thrum in the air like a taut wire. Lily's small frame clung to him, her wide eyes searching the faces in the crowd for reassurance. What was once skepticism was slowly morphing into something that felt like determination, albeit fragile and tentative. He could see idea after idea bouncing around, igniting sparks of hope. "Okay, let us do this," someone finally shouted from the midsection of the crowd. It was a young man, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Let us set a date for the block party. We can raise money and awareness." Fatigue gripped Marcus's heart, but his spirit surged with renewed energy. They were moving. They were talking. Maybe this was just what they needed to rally around. "Yes," he shouted, rallying the crowd further. "Together, we can make this happen." As they began to organize, a ripple of excitement spread through the crowd. People pulled out their phones, jotting down notes and exchanging numbers. A woman stepped forward, brave and resolute. "I'll contact local businesses. We can make them see how much this means." "Yes." Another voice chimed in, "I can put together a flyer. We need to spread the word beyond our block." Lily, encouraged by the buzz of activity, turned to Marcus, her voice quieter but brimming with newfound confidence. I can help too. I can share my story." Marcus felt a wave of pride wash over him. He knew it wouldn't be easy for her, but this was a critical moment. "That's perfect, Lily. Your words matter. More than you know. As they began to coordinate logistics, Marcus looked out over the crowd, feeling something akin to hope digging itself into the hearts of those gathered. Yet, beneath it all, doubt whispered in his ear, reminding him of the uphill battle they faced. What if no one showed up? What if the turnout was embarrassing? For every burst of excitement, those shadows couldn't help but grip his heart again. He noticed a group of teenagers in the back, eyeing them with disinterest. It reminded him that not everyone shared the same fire. Then a familiar face approached a friend from college he hadn't seen in ages. Marcus. Rachel said, her smile illuminating the cloud of doubts over him. Her energy was infectious. I heard you were out here making waves. Trying to, Marcus admitted, half laughing. But I don't know if it'll amount to anything. Hey, Rachel said firmly, gripping his shoulder. You're igniting something here. You're giving voice to those who feel invisible. You can't give up now. Her words resonated, mixing hope with the anxiety that still curled in his stomach. He looked at Lily, wrapped up in a world of possibilities. She was their heartbeat now. What do you need from me? Rachel asked. Anything and everything, he replied earnestly. We need hands, ideas, support. It doesn't have to be grand, just positive. We need the kind of love that makes a lasting impact. Rachel nodded, fueled by the conviction emanating from him. Count me in, Marcus. Let us show them how this community comes together. As they continued brainstorming, the atmosphere shifted. There was music playing in the background, a busker strumming a guitar on the street corner. The sound mingled with laughter and chatter, filling the air with a sense of unity. It was alive, vibrant, and the energy thrummed around them like the pulsing of a heartbeat. Just when the clouds of doubt threatened to overwhelm him, he spotted the teenager from earlier, her face slightly softer now. That glimmer of interest, even just a flicker, gave Marcus hope. Change could come without a grand gesture, it often began with small, flickering lights. As the crowd worked, Marcus pulled Lily close. No matter what happens, you've already made a difference just by being here, he said, feeling her warmth seep into his own resolve. But could this make a real impact, or would their efforts fade like whispers in the wind? The thought chilled him. Days would pass, the block party would come, and it would be a true test of their commitment. What if the excitement simmered, dulled, and the tasks unraveled into forgotten dreams? With a deep breath, he steeled himself. No matter what, he would fight to ensure they pressed on. Together, they could bridge the gap between compassion and action. But as the planning boomed around him, a new thought niggled at the back of his mind. What if the very foundations they were building this on were as fragile as Lily's gaze, ready to crumble at the slightest push? The planning spread out like threads weaving into a tapestry, a fabric of hope and solidarity. Marcus found himself moving from one small group to another, listening, supporting, coaxing ideas out of shyer voices. Rachel took point on logistics, jotting down every suggestion with fervor, turning each spark into something tangible. Behind them, Marcus still felt the slight weight of doubt pressing against his heart. The excitement was contagious, but what if it all fell apart? Hey, Marcus! A voice called from the back of the crowd. It was a local artist he recognized, Carlos, known for his vibrant murals that brightened the neighborhood. I've got an idea. Carlos stepped forward, his demeanor enthusiastic yet earnest. We could have art stations at the party. Let the kids paint their dreams, share their hopes on canvas. It'd draw people in and show how much talent is in this community. That's brilliant! Marcus exclaimed, already envisioning the splashes of color igniting the block. He turned to Lily, who stood wide-eyed, absorbing everything. What do you think? I love it, she said. Her confidence was blooming, fueled by the scene around her. Art can express what we feel. That was it. They were capturing everyone's essence, sharing passions, and not just relying on plans written in haste. Hours flew by, and amidst the laughter and chatter, Marcus felt a warmth growing inside him. This was what he had hoped for. Neighbors who once exchanged only quick hellos were now sharing meals and childhood memories, forging connections that felt genuinely promising, but just as the mood soared, a sudden silence entered the gathering. Everyone's attention snapped to the street corner, where a shadowy figure lingered. A woman wrapped in a tattered coat, her eyes shielded by layers of dirt and fatigue, stood clutching a worn backpack. The busker's melody faded as she hesitated, scanning the crowd that had briefly forgotten the world outside their unity. Marcus's heart tugged. In that moment, everything came flooding back: the struggles, the pain of feeling overlooked. He locked eyes with Lily. "Do we invite her in?" he whispered. Before she could answer, Rachel took the lead. "Let us go to her." With commitment, she led Marcus and Lily through the sea of faces, drawing near the woman, their hearts synchronized, each step a silent declaration of their newfound purpose. As they approached, whispers filled the air. Some in the crowd shifted uncomfortably, unsure of how to respond. Marcus could feel skepticism rising, a wall between them and the woman who was simply seeking a sense of belonging. Rachel knelt beside her, a smile spreading across her features. "Hi there," she said warmly. "What is your name?" The woman looked up, vulnerability etched across her features. "Amber," she replied, her voice soft. At that moment, Marcus could almost feel the weight of isolation that shadowed Amber, a loneliness that seemed insurmountable. It struck him this was a pivotal moment. He turned to the crowd, heart racing. "Everyone! This is Amber. Let us show her what community really means." His voice rang with urgency, fueled by the memories of times when he felt lost. But he knew well that not everyone was receptive. What if they turned away, just as so many others had? As Marcus scanned the audience, a few hesitated, whispering among themselves. Doubts turned to nervous glances and tension filled the space until one by one, people stepped forward, offering a hand, buying a meal, or speaking a kind word. Each gesture, small in itself, together formed ripples of connection that began to dissolve the skepticism. Amber looked up at the growing crowd around her, a flicker of hope visible in her weary eyes. It was a sight that wrung at Marcus's heart. But just as it seemed the light was breaking through, an unexpected voice interrupted. "What are we doing?" It was one of the teenagers from earlier, crossing their arms defiantly. "What if she takes everything and disappears? We don't even know her." The air thickened as the crowd turned. Marcus froze, feeling the tension thrum through the streets again. They had come so far, but would this be the moment that divided them once more? His heart pounded. In that fragile instant, he realized the stakes had changed. Could they truly bridge the divides in their community, or were they destined to falter at the first challenge? Marcus took a deep breath. It was now or never. Marcus stood tall, feeling every eye in the crowd upon him. He could sense the mixture of hope and anxiety swirling around. The words had left his mouth, bursting forth from a well of emotion that he hadn't expected to overflow. "Look, I know we're just getting started," he began, his voice steady despite the tumult in his chest. "Amber stands here today, just like any one of us hoping, searching for a place to belong. We've talked about community, about sharing our strength with one another. But this is the moment to put those words into action." A whisper ran through the crowd. Some were nodding, while others shifted nervously. Marcus saw the uncertainty etched on their faces, but he also saw flickers of understanding beginning to spark. "Remember when we were all strangers?" he continued, locking eyes with Lily, who gave him a nod of encouragement. "We're all here together because we want something better for ourselves, for our families. Amber deserves that chance too." Rachel, still beside him, chimed in. "This isn't just about her. It's about all of us. If we can rally around Amber, think about what we can accomplish. We can create a place where anyone who feels lost can find their way back." Her eyes sparkled with determination, then a voice broke through the tension. "Fine, but how do we know she won't just take what we give?" It was the teenager again, arms crossed tight. The frustration in Marcus's heart swelled, but instead of retreating, he stepped forward. What if we approach it from another angle? He glanced around, finding support in a few others in the crowd. Instead of fearing what could go wrong, let us believe in what could go right. Let us show her what a real community feels like. Amber's shoulders slumped, and the tears threatening to spill from her eyes trembled and wavered while Marcus spoke. He felt it a connection, like they were both fighting for the same thing, hope. Then, unbidden, a man stepped up, a local mechanic named Thomas. He cleared his throat, his rugged exterior softening as he looked at Amber. If you're hungry, I have some sandwiches in my shop. You can come eat with us. He walked over, and slowly, others followed. One by one, neighbors talked to Amber, offering food, a warm coat, or just simple conversation. The weight in the air began to lift as the skepticism melted away, replaced by an overwhelming surge of compassion. Yet, Marcus could see that the teenager still stood solid, arms crossed, still glaring. The tension hadn't quite broken. What if this is all just for show? He said again. What if it doesn't change anything? Every word felt like a sharp jab. Marcus took a moment to steady himself. I can't promise anything, he said, voice calm, but we can start right here. If change is going to happen, it begins with us. We have to take risks for one another. Isn't that what we want? The crowd was quiet, their gazes shifting between Amber and Marcus. Having opened this door, he felt their collective heartbeat as anticipation built in the air. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the teenager uncrossed his arms. All right, he said, voice wavering. If you really think this is worth trying. Before he could finish, an unexpected cheer erupted. Others began clapping, laughter thawing the heavy atmosphere. It wasn't just acceptance, it was a resurgence of hope that rippled through the group. Marcus felt the tightness begin to dissolve in his own chest as gratitude filled him. This was their start, a real start. But then, in the back of his mind, a nagging thought surfaced. They still had so far to go. Would this ember of connection flourish into the flame of change they desperately needed? Suddenly, a flicker of movement made him turn. Out of the corner of his eye, a group of children ran forward, carrying paints and canvases, inspired by Carlos's earlier vision. They surrounded Amber, excitedly offering her the chance to paint something beautiful. In that moment, Marcus could feel the gravity of change gather around them, and he dared to hope again. But deep down, he knew this was just the beginning. Would they be able to sustain this newfound spirit of unity when faced with the challenges ahead? As laughter rang in the air, the realization hit him like a freight train. Change didn't just happen, it was a choice, a leap of faith that required constant nurturing. What would happen next when the dust settled? Would they stand together or fall apart? Marcus watched as the children encircled Amber, paintbrushes waving like little flags of hope. Their laughter echoed, buoyant and infectious, pulling people in until the crowd seemed to shift and merge, something more than just a gathering of individuals. He felt warmth spread across his heart, replacing the darkness of doubt that had lingered there moments before. Amber picked up a paintbrush, and for the first time, her lips curled upward. The transformation was as radiant as the colors the children were blending on their palettes. The once fraught tension seemed to evaporate, leaving only a bright cloud of possibilities hanging in the air. Look at her! Someone exclaimed, a voice filled with disbelief and joy. She is smiling. Marcus found himself grinning too, letting the laughter of the children fill the gaps in his uncertainty. He let himself believe that they were building something here, an unshakable bond, spark by spark. But could this spark withstand the inevitable storms ahead? With the group now engaged, he felt a surge of energy, it swept through him and radiated outward. Let us not stop with just painting. He called out, his voice rising above the joyous ruckus. Let us host a community dinner, a block party. We can showcase each other's talents, share stories, have fun together. His mind raced with ideas, the crowd responded with murmurs of excitement, opinions buzzing like bees around a blooming flower. Rachel, her eyes wide, grabbed his arm as she bounced on her heels. That's brilliant, Marcus. We can set up a stage, maybe even get local musicians to perform. Encouragement spread quickly, and people began to share what they bring. I can cook. Thomas shouted, a wide grin on his face. I'll bring ribs and cornbread. Others nodded and joined in, recalling cherished recipes and adding to the feast they were planning. The sight of their enthusiasm was like music to Marcus's ears, a harmony he had never imagined they could create together, yet, beneath the surface, Marcus sensed the deeper issues that still lay ahead. It was good to rally together for a moment, but what about tomorrow? Would they stand by Amber when the initial excitement waned? When the hunger for change grew tiresome and difficult? Just then, a shadow crossed his mind. The teenager, who had seemed so hardened moments ago, stood at the edge of the celebration, arms still crossed but posture no longer tense. Curiosity flickered in his eyes. Marcus felt the pull of an opportunity. It wouldn't just be about Amber, it was time to bring him closer, too. Hey! Marcus called, nodding toward the boy. What do you think? Want to help us plan this? We can't leave anyone out. Not now. The teenager hesitated, uncertainty dancing on his features. Marcus held his breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Would he step forward, even a little? A ripple of silence fell over the crowd. Then, slowly, the boy unfolded his arms. I guess I could help. His voice was tentative, but it was enough. Cheers erupted once more, the crowd embracing this new ally, the spark of unity igniting deeper connections. But just as quickly, Marcus felt a twinge of concern. What if this excitement didn't translate into lasting change? He had opened a door. Would they all step through it? Amber, now engaged in painting a vibrant sun, glanced up and caught his gaze, her trust radiating through her smile. In that moment, he knew they would walk together forward and back, give and take. The future? It was still unwritten, but unity felt possible. However, one question remained heavy in his chest: with all their good intentions, could they truly forge a community resilient enough to last through the storms of doubt and division? It was time to find out. What lay ahead, beyond this first step? And could they keep the momentum alive when faced with realities that threatened to pull them apart? The next day, the sun rose bright and clear, casting a golden hue over the community. Marcus was up early, made anxious by the weight of what was ahead. The buzz of yesterday still hummed in his heart, but a part of him feared it would dissipate like the morning mist. He made his way to the park, where the festivities would take place. A long table covered in checkered cloths was being set up. He watched as neighbors began arriving with food and supplies, their arms loaded with pots, pans, and bags of groceries. A sense of anticipation hung in the air. As each neighbor appeared, they greeted one another with smiles and laughter. It was as if they were long-lost friends, reunited in this shared mission. Hey, you! A cheerful voice broke into his thoughts. It was Rachel, her hair bouncing as she jogged toward him. Everyone's excited. Did you see Emily's famous apple pie? She's bringing that thing. Her enthusiasm was contagious. Yeah, I just hope we can pull it all off. He tried to keep his tone light, but there was a tremor of doubt that slipped through. Rachel noticed. Marcus, look around. This is real. People are coming together. We just need to give them room to shine. Her words resonated with him, the spark of unity was striking a flame. As they worked side by side, the excitement grew. Music floated in from nearby, a local band setting up to play folk tunes that would soon sweep across the park. A chatter of voices mingled with bursts of laughter filled the air, creating a hopeful symphony. This wasn't just a block party, it was already a festival of togetherness, but then, amid the vibrant sounds, Marcus caught sight of the teenager from yesterday, the boy with the hard exterior who had stepped forward to help. He was now carrying a stack of chairs, looking a bit more relaxed. Marcus felt a wave of pride swell in his chest. Just as Marcus was going to approach him, a commotion erupted near the park entrance. The crowd parted as a wild-haired girl, her clothes tattered and dirty, darted into view. She was about Amber's age, with bright eyes shining with something close to hope, or maybe it was desperation. "Hey! You got any food?" she cried out, her voice cutting through the joyful noise. In an instant, the energy shifted. Marcus's heart raced as he felt the confusion sweep through the crowd. Some stepped back, unsure how to react to a girl who looked so desperately in need. He could feel the tension crackling, the contrast between their joy and her suffering palpable. Then he remembered Amber. He remembered how their hearts had sparked together. He stepped forward without thinking, determined to bridge the divide. "We have food." Marcus called out to her, his voice steady, but the flutter of anxiety twisted his stomach. "Come join us. There's plenty to share." The little girl paused, standing still as if assessing whether she was truly welcome. Finally, she took a cautious step forward, and arching her back, she approached slowly, looking for a sign of safety. Before Marcus knew it, parents stepped in to help guide her. As she reached the table, a small voice emerged from the back of the crowd. "I can give her my cupcake." It was one of the little painters from yesterday, beaming with generosity. Other children echoed the sentiment, eager to share. As laughter intertwined with compassion, Marcus felt warmth radiating. But deep down, uncertainty flickered, growing stronger with the reminder that not everyone would react this way. The question loomed before him: would the community stand together when faced with hardship, or would fear push them apart? Amber, catching his eye from across the table, raised a paint-splattered hand in encouragement. Could this be the moment he knew they had truly transformed? The little girl hesitated at first, peering out from behind the table, her wide eyes darting between Marcus and the spread of food. But as the warm smiles from the neighbors began to wash over her, her face softened. She stepped further into the open, drawn in by the colorful array of dishes laid out before her. "Here, sweetheart. Try this." Emily's voice rang out like a bell, her apple pie glistening in the sun. She crouched down, offering a slice on a paper plate, each crumb promising sweetness and comfort. The girl took a hesitant step forward, reaching out with shaky fingers. Her eyes flicked up to Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. "It's really good," he assured her. "You won't regret it." Moments later, the girl was biting into the pie and her face transformed as the sugary taste hit her tongue. A smile broke through her initial wariness, a spark of childhood bliss igniting in her expression. Laughter from the children nearby spilled out, mixing with the music and creating a tapestry of sounds that lifted everyone's spirits. "See?" Rachel said, nudging Marcus with her elbow as they watched the girl's face light up. "This is what it's about. Just a little kindness can change everything." Yet, even as joy blossomed around him, a tightening anxiety gripped Marcus. Would this moment lead to more than just a fleeting happiness? His eyes scanned the crowd. Some neighbors were getting involved, but he could see others in the back, arms crossed and mouths set in tight lines. Fear still lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to bubble up. Before he could dwell too long on that thought, the wild-haired girl darted back, her face now smeared with pie. She was strong, the kind of spirit that reminded him of Amber. He felt anchors of connection pulling tighter within him. She was welcomed, she was seen. "Let's take a photo," someone shouted, breaking the tension. Cameras began clicking, capturing this pivotal moment. Marcus joined the group, his arm extending to wrap around the girl, pulling her close. The snapshot would show not just their faces, but a change brewing in the heart of the community. As they all posed together, Marcus's gaze lingered on that girl, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of disbelief and joy. At that moment, something shifted inside him. The doubts, though still present, seemed to dim against the brightness radiating around them. "Let's make this official," Rachel said, urging everyone to join in the festivities fully. "We're one big family now." With laughs and playful shoves, the neighbors moved to set up games for the children. The wild-haired girl, now securely settled among them, grabbed hold of a child's hand, eager to join in the fun. Her laughter pierced through the park like a sweet melody, echoing in Marcus's heart. Suddenly, the teenager who had helped out earlier stepped forward, a hesitant look crossing his face. Marcus could almost feel the shift in the energy around him, as the crowd quieted slightly, anticipating what the boy might say. I brought some things too," he stammered, drawing out a small bag from behind him. A mix of goodies and treats tumbled out, a quiet but impactful offering that caught the attention of everyone nearby. A ripple of surprise swept through the crowd. Could it be? Had this boy with the hard exterior found a way to connect, just like the others? Marcus's heart raced, hope blossomed yet again, with the sun shining brightly above, illuminating the gathering. He felt something profound, an inkling of change that whispered of future possibilities. Would this spark spread, igniting more hearts in their community? As the noise of laughter and games swelled again, Marcus stood at the heart of it all, holding his breath, waiting to see if this moment would carry them toward a brighter future or send them spiraling back into their previous fears. What would happen next? Would their bond deepen, or was this unity merely a temporary flicker? The question lingered as the festivities unfolded, and Marcus felt the weight of uncertainty mixed with an undeniable glimmer of hope. The sun continued to pour down, bathing the park in warm hues. Laughter rippled through the crowd, interrupting Marcus's thoughts. The games were in full swing, kids shrieking with delight as they chased after each other, their joy infectious. He watched the wild-haired girl dart around, her smile wide, mingling effortlessly with others. She was fast becoming the life of the gathering, and Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of pride swell in his chest. But amidst the celebration, the earlier moments of anxiety still lingered. Marcus observed the older faces in the crowd, some still watching from a distance. Their expressions remained skeptical, arms crossed like shields against the openness that enveloped the gathering. He knew the journey toward community might still encounter bumps along the way. "Hey, Marcus!" Rachel's voice cut through his reverie. She was holding a stack of colorful balloons, their brightness a stark contrast against the tired colors of the park's grass. "Want to help me with these?" "Sure," he said, stepping forward. They set about tying strings to the filled balloons, their laughter blending seamlessly with the background chatter. "Do you think the others will really come around?" Marcus asked, voicing his worries as they worked. Rachel paused, looking thoughtfully at him. "It takes time. But you know what? Seeing that girl smile, it's a step. Sometimes, all it takes is one moment of kindness to shift everything." Her words resonated, lighting a flicker of hope in his heart. As they finished, Rachel tossed one in the air. It floated, capturing the sun's glow and drifting higher. She sighed, her gaze following it as if it were a wish taking flight. "Let us make another one for your new friend," Marcus suggested, nodding toward the girl, who had begun to lead a game of tag. Before he could take a step, the teenager from earlier appeared at Marcus's side again, this time looking decidedly less shy. "I got some stuff out, too. We can make a prize for the best balloon, maybe." "Great idea," Marcus replied, energized by the boy's enthusiasm. Soon, they had gathered various art supplies and were crafting colorful tags to tie to the balloons, each one more elaborate than the last. Neighbors began to drift over, inspired by the project unfolding before them. Someone came by with streamers, and another with some glitter. The air bubbled with excitement, an undercurrent of change rising. Marcus began to feel that the teenagers had become part of this newfound camaraderie. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was happening. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the community began to gather again, balloons now in hand, and smiles across the board. As Marcus watched them line up for games and laughter, he felt something warm wash over him. Hope, then, the little girl, full of energy and mischief, stood at the front of the group. "Can we release the balloons all together, please?" Her voice rang clear, drawing nods and smiles from everyone. "On 3. Rachel called out, her excitement contagious. Everyone began to count, anticipation building. 1, 2, 3. As the balloons burst from their fingertips, floating into the open sky, gasps escaped lips all around. The colors merged with the fading light, a canvas of unity against the twilight. There was something magical in that moment. It felt as if they were all letting go of their fears, even just a little, but then, as the last balloon disappeared into the darkening sky, a voice rang out from the edge of the crowd. "What do you think you're doing?" The harsh words cut through the joy, drawing attention to the newcomer. Marcus felt his heart race as he turned to see a familiar figure stepping forward, their presence looming unsettlingly over the celebration. Was this the challenge that would threaten all they had built? The question hung in the air like the balloons, and Marcus felt the weight of uncertainty settle back in his stomach. What would happen now? The newcomer's voice echoed with disbelief. It was Mr. Henderson, the old store owner, known for his sharp critiques and a heart that resembled the gnarled bark of a forgotten tree. He stepped forward, arms crossed tightly over his chest, eyebrows furrowed. Marcus felt a chill run through the crowd, and for a moment, laughter faded to an uneasy silence. "What's all this?" Mr. Henderson demanded, glancing at the vibrant balloons floating into the sky. "What's the point of this distraction? We have real problems." His voice dripped with skepticism. Marcus felt a swell of anxiety rise within him. They had come so far, could they really let this moment be derailed? "This is a celebration." Rachel spoke up, her voice firm yet warm. "We're bringing the community together. We want to create a space where people no matter their background feel seen." The crowd murmured in agreement. Marcus's heart raced. This was the moment they must stand firm, united against the skepticism that had lingered for far too long. "You think balloons and games will fix everything?" Mr. Henderson scoffed. "What about the real issues? Hunger, homelessness, these things don't go away with a sing-along." Feeling the unrest rise up, Marcus stepped forward, inhaling deeply. "Mr. Henderson," he began, voice steady but filled with emotion. "You're right. The problems are real and overwhelming. But it's the small steps that lead to change. Every person in this park, including those who feel alone or forgotten, deserves to be invited into this conversation. This isn't just about today, it's about a movement we're trying to spark here." The old man hesitated, brow furrowing as he watched the crowd. Their faces were filled with a mix of enthusiasm and uncertainty. Would they allow the shadow of one person to dim their light? "Every individual counts," Marcus continued, eyes scanning the gathering of neighbors who had embraced one another, creating connections that felt palpable. "This is about building bridges and fostering dialogue. You used to tell me stories about how important community was. This is it." As his words landed, a ripple of thought spread among the onlookers. The teenage boy stepped forward, voice slightly shaky but resolute. "We're trying to make this place better. We want to be heard, and that means bringing everyone in. Even you, Mr. Henderson. You can help us." Marcus felt the weight of hope begin to shift within the crowd. The once stoic presence of Mr. Henderson seemed to waver slightly. The hard lines of his mouth softened, just a touch. "You're all still naive," he started again, but the cadence of his voice lacked conviction. "You really think kindness will overcome all the struggles out there?" With determination, Lily, standing at Marcus's side, spoke up. "It's a start. You have to begin somewhere, and this community means everything to me. I want others to feel the way I do when I see everyone together. We're one heartbeat now. Can't you feel it?" The surprise washed over Marcus as he saw the glimmer of recognition flicker in Mr. Henderson's eyes. Could that familiarity of connection begin to chip away at the walls? Maybe he started, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his voice. But it won't be easy. There are people who will still turn away. Of course. Rachel chimed in, eager to seize the moment. But isn't that the heart of it? We want it to be hard. So we can show others how powerful it is to care. To be part of something greater. Silence enveloped them, the tension too thick to slice easily. Would Mr. Henderson embrace this new wave? All right, he finally muttered, folding his arms in resignation. Maybe I could help with planning. You need someone who knows the ins and outs. Applause erupted in the park, surrounding the old man like a warm embrace. Joy surged through Marcus's heart. As laughter and cheers filled the air, he looked around, realizing the bonds they all shared had strengthened with each passing moment. It wasn't just about the balloons or games anymore. This was a community rallying together, embracing change through unity, even in the face of uncertainty. Later, as the sun began to set and painted the horizon in shades of orange and gold, Marcus stood with Lily in the glow of the warmth they had created. She clutched his hand tightly, her smile radiant. "Do you think this can last?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with hope. "I believe it will," he said, looking into her eyes. "If we keep nurturing it, one act of kindness at a time." He felt something tug at his heart, a connection that felt like the first flutter of wings. It whispered to the depths of uncertainty still lurking but forged a bond that felt profound. As the evening descended, Marcus took a deep breath, allowing gratitude to wash over him. The stories shared, the hearts lifted, this journey was only beginning. Together, they would nurture this flame of hope. The road ahead might be long and fraught with challenges, but now they walked it side by side, one heartbeat at a time. Now was the time for action and limitless potential. Let it unfold. And as shadows mingled with the light of a new dawn, a reminder pulsed within him. Moments of change started small, but when fueled by love and understanding, they could move mountains. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.